Hello.
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 Alrighty, guys, we're getting on with the interview. So, first question is, who are you?
I'm Sully. Uh, yeah.
I'm David.
Nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet
Yeah.
you.
Why am I interviewing you? Are you in a band?
Yes, we're in a band called dodomeki. We're a we're a I don't know. We're kind of an emo band, but kind of a kind of a genre mash kind of band.
Hell yeah.
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 Very cool. And so what do you do in the band?
I'm the singer and the guitar player. Some of our previous stuff I've kind of written, like or composed like certain parts, but I mainly just do guitar and sing and yell. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
And
nice.
I mostly play synthesizer. I've always played keys over the years. And I also do sort of like weirder textural sounds for us as well.
Awesome. Thank you very much. All right.
Yeah.
So what was your guys' musical background like growing up? What type of stuff did you hear, or like any kind of music that you listened to when you were kids, or your parents played, or anything like that?
Oh, it's such a cool question. Dave, do you want to go first?
Sure. So the earliest I remember listening to music, it was basically exclusively Jimmy Buffett because my mom loves Jimmy Buffett. And then
Hell yeah.
my father got me into new metal, and then, um, so there's a lot of that. It was a lot of like when I was a small child, it was like what would be called adult contemporary music, and then it's like a middle school age, like teenager. It was a lot of new metal. It was a lot of like deathcore. It was a lot of stuff I don't really listen to these days. Yeah, I've got nothing against Jimmy Buffett or deathcore, just to be clear. But
Yeah.
it's I guess it's kind of interesting because like there's basically my taste in music now and the music I play now is just so far separated from like what music was for me growing up because I didn't like I played a little bit of guitar growing up very badly. Um, but I didn't end up picking up like keys and synths and stuff until like 2015 or 16. I was like nearly 20 or in my 20s, and I think playing keys has shaped the sort of music I listen to a lot.
Very nice. All right. How about you,
Uh,
Sally?
yeah, I'm trying to remember like when I was a little kid, um, I was exposed to like a lot of like Irish and like traditional like folk music jams with like my grandma because she played a lot of she plays like fiddle and stuff. She still does. She's in her 80s.
That's sick.
And yeah, and beyond that, it was like my dad liked like a lot of like classic rock and shit. And like honestly, that's about it. Like a lot of just like very like machismo stuff. And my mom listened to like U2 and like kind of post punk stuff, like The Cure, and things like New Order, things like that. So I was able to. I'm grateful for that. I'm not really grateful for like the AC/DC and shit like that. But then when I was in middle school, I started to listen to like pop punk and like very like surface level like indie rock and like emo and stuff. And then later on, I discovered uh like more like mathy emo shit, which made me start listening to like screamo and different like more like harsh styles of music, like and more experimental music too. I got really into ambient and noise music for a while. Um, yeah, I started playing guitar when I was like 12, I think. I'm 27 now. Uh, but I don't even know what I all the things I just said, or I can't remember even the original question. But Yeah.
That was beautiful. Yeah, that was like the full history. I love it. Excellent.
Okay.
Yeah, both. Yeah, excellent answers. Because the next, I was actually going to ask like about the kind of connection from the sort of background stuff into the more like stuff you do now. But yeah, both of you kind of answered that already, so that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, next one is what you kind of mentioned already, but what instruments can you play? So give us the list of things that you can play.
David?
Yeah. So most things with keys on them, I do okay with. Like I don't know how to play like the piano.
Mm,
It's most of what I do is very monophonic, like it's one note at a time. But beyond like synthesizers and stuff, I wouldn't say I know how to play it, but I owned a theremin for a little while,
oh,
and some of that is on some of our earlier music before dodomeki. I tried to play bass for many years. I took bass lessons. I thought it was my calling. I don't think it was because it never really clicked with me. Like no instrument really did until I tried playing something with keys.
mm,
So beyond that, I can play a few guitar chords, and I think that's probably about it.
very nice. Yeah, it's interesting the kind of different, what would you call it? Not like mentality, but I think a lot of musicians talk about the difference between like guitar and piano, especially. I don't know if it's how piano is more linear and guitar isn't so
That's sort of
linear,
what it
maybe.
is. It's like the keys are all laid out. I think that helps me a lot. Whereas on I know there is pattern to it on the necks of guitars and basses, but it's like I gotta have them all in sequential order for it to sort of click in my head.
Yeah, makes sense. Nice, thank you. Yeah, Sally, how about
Yeah.
you? What instruments can you play?
My first instrument was piano. I took piano lessons when I was like a little kid, and I'm reasonably proficient at it. I'm not even close to like the level that I am at guitar because I just got way more focused on guitar at like a young age, and I was really into like guitar based music. Um, but mainly those two. I can play bass because I can play guitar, but I don't feel like I'm very good at it. And I can play drums, but I can only play like punk style drums or like emo style. Like I can't. I'm not. I don't feel like I can't really call myself a drummer in like a lot of ways because I don't I really only can play like one style and I'm mid at it at best. So, but that's about it. I've messed around with other shit, but
Yeah.
mainly just those.
Okay, very nice. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you. Thank you guys. Great
Mhm.
answers again. So next one is yeah, what is your songwriting process for I guess for dodomeki it is mostly dodomeki, but you're both kind of into a lot of different projects, so maybe it's a difficult question. But I guess in
Yeah.
general, if you can generalize, what is the songwriting process?
For dodomeki, I write usually like the song structure and the lyrics like on guitar. Our first record that we put out, I kind of composed certain parts of it, like some of the drum arrangements. I just composed the arrangement but didn't play it. Our drummer Nick recorded it, and we were in separate cities. Um, but uh, I mainly start. I usually start with lyrics, and then I kind of through a lot of people have told me I through compose, so I kind of write like to the lyrics. Instead of like being like, okay, I'm going to have like this guitar part chorus, this guitar part chorus. Like I kind of just do whatever as it fits the lyrics. But it's beyond that. I just give it to everybody else to write their own parts nowadays because we have like a band, and I think it's a lot more fun to be collaborative. And then I don't have to feel so stressed or so stringent about like tiny little stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, for the band, it's a lot of, like Sully said, we'll like have a band practice. Sully will be like, "Hey, you want to try to learn a new song?" And then Sully plays it for us, and I'll usually have Sully jot down a few notes for me to try to hit, just because I'm no good at picking up on that by ear. And then we sort of just, I think we play through it a few times and sort of build a foundation for it with like all of us. And most of it really comes together that way.
Very nice. Cool. Okay. What should we do? Okay, I want to ask you all about. I know both of you listen to a lot of different types of music, and yeah, so the interviews are always kind of like just talking about your music and stuff. But so, what other types of music do you listen to so that isn't related to the type of music that you make? Or yeah,
Yeah.
any recommendations as well would be lovely.
I'm gonna go first because I think Dave's gonna have way more than me. Um, I I listen to, and Dave is gonna attest to this. I listen to like a lot of like breakcore and like a lot of different styles of electronic music and like drum and bass and IDM and stuff like that. That's a lot of what I listen to, as well as ambient music. Um, I'm trying to think of like other stuff that like differs heavily from our music. I do listen to uh, a reasonable amount of like harsher like power violence and stuff too, and like kind of more intense like forms of punk music than the stuff that we play. Um, and I listen to I listen to everything, but but rap and country. No, I'm just kidding. I listen to a lot of like like rootsy like music too. That's like anti-fascist and not bootlicky and stuff. But David?
Yeah. Lately I've been listening to a lot of like, I guess like digital hardcore music, like Kaizo Slumber, and there's a German artist I found recently called Equator, but they have an 8 in the middle of their name, and they were making like just like digital hardcore, like breakcore, gabber stuff in the 90s, like the early 90s. I listen to a lot of that sort of thing. I like a lot of hyper pop music, like obviously anything Sophie worked on, Hannah Diamond, that sort of thing. And beyond that, it is a lot of electronic music, but it's a lot of like queercore music as well, as like nebulous of a genre as that is. Like a band that Sully and I both really love, who are, I think, more obscure than they should be, is Space Camp. They're out of
Oh yeah.
Connecticut. They're they just like, I think these days they play with basically like a small little orchestra with them while they play like just this freaky like queercore, like just heavy music. It's super interesting.
It's like free jazz grindcore or something.
Yeah.
But that's still like minimizing it, I
That
guess.
sounds
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm in that same vein, I'm a big fan of the band Night Witch, who are from Florida. I don't think they're a band anymore, but it's more like straightforward, sort of like hardcore, grindcore sort of stuff. But it does have that very like queer bent to it, where it's all about like existing as a queer person in America.
excellent. Fantastic. Thank you so much. All right. All right. Next question I want to ask you all is what inspires you that is not music?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, I feel like a lot of like my personally for me, like my own songwriting is like very much like based in like emotions and like trying to get through like, you know, like trauma and dealing with gender dysphoria and different mental health stuff. And um I would say that's like greatly what informs like almost all of the music I make, to the point where it could almost be like detrimental. Um but
Yeah.
but aside from that, like I don't know, like definitely like taking in other art forms, like different kinds of media, like animation especially, and like films, stuff like that, you know, books.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Very
What
nice.
about you, Dave?
Um, in a weird way, even though I do outside of dodomeki, I primarily make like electronic music. I think like sounds in nature are a big inspiration for me as well. Like just because nature itself is almost inherently musical, you know, as not just with like birds making sounds, but just like the rustling of trees and wind through the grass and all of that. And I find that very inspirational, even if I think it my music doesn't always read that way.
Mm.
But then it's also just sort of another thing I find really fascinating. I don't know if it's an inspiration necessarily, and it kind of ties back into the nature thing, but it's like sort of the cacophony of like industrialism, you know, like a giant factory is going to be a loud place, you know, just like grinding repetitive noises and stuff. And I think the sharp contrast of that to like more serene nature sounds is something I find really fascinating in regard to making music.
Hell yeah. Very nice. I have no extra comments. Very good answers, I think. Interesting.
Good
All
ass
right.
answer, Dave.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. We're moving into the outlandish questions section.
Yes.
So yeah, I've written like 100 questions, and these allow this is like you. So you like or not. So you know, here we go. So yeah, I just like what should we do? Okay. Somebody's terrible. I wrote my questions like 100 anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, those. Okay. All right, I like this one. So, are you on time, early, or late people?
Ooh. God, I feel like I'm an early person, but just because of anxiety, not because of really anything else, honestly.
Very fair.
Um,
Dave, what
I,
about you?
I think I struggle to keep track of time and sort of be mindful of how much time has passed, you know? I think I think as a whole, dodomeki is kind of on the later end because
Yeah.
whenever we have shows and stuff, Sully is always like, "Okay, so we gotta be here this early," just because
Yeah.
Sully knows that we all run behind.
I have to like
Basically,
pad the time.
yeah.
Very nice. The love of the lovely like day to day of bands.
Yeah. It's all love.
Yeah. All right. Next question is: do you believe in God or any spiritual entity?
Nice. We just had a poll of this on our private like band Discord.
Oh,
Um
perfect timing to
yeah,
question.
yeah, we were having fun with polls. No, not really. I don't really believe in any afterlife. I don't really have any spirituality at all. Um I like obviously you should be accepting of people having beliefs and stuff, but I ever since I was little, I've just been uh in constant fear of the expansive void that waits beyond.
Hell yeah! Embrace the void.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm kind of in the same boat maybe with a little less of the void fear thing, you know.
No, more
I
avoid fear.
I just, I mean, I don't think I believe in God, you know. Certainly not in like the traditional sense. I think there is sort of beauty in the idea that if there is some sort of overarching force like that in the universe, it's just something that's found all around us. But I think that's probably about the extent of my interest in that. And with like I don't know, I don't really believe in like ghosts or ghoulies or goblins or skeletons. So I don't, I like Sully said, I don't judge people for believing in spiritual things like that. Especially because it's like, you gotta have a little bit of whimsy, in the world, you gotta it makes sense, to me, but it's not something that I personally really identify with.
Very nice. All right. Next one. This is the last of the random questions. Is just about pets and animals.
Yay.
But I don't actually know. I know I wrote questions for it, but it's actually not on my list anymore. So I'm just gonna let you talk freely about pets and animals for a while.
Sure. I have a cat and
What's its name?
show you. Uh,
Ah,
yeah. And she's like she's so sick. I love her so much. She's super sassy. I just love cats in general. Um and she is kind of a shithead though. She does like to like pee on stuff like anytime she's upset. Just about anything at all. And maybe just sometimes for fun. But I love her so much. Um and just animals in general. God, I just fucking love animals. It's crazy that there's all these creatures in the world and they're just walking around.
yeah,
It's fucked up, really.
yeah.
David?
Yeah. So currently there's three cats and two dogs running around the place I'm living. Apparently I'm allergic to all of them, which I learned like 2 years ago after living like 25 years of my life with them as pets.
Hell
But
yeah.
it's obviously not that bad. Um, but so we've got the two dogs, the two beagles, called Lucy and Bella, and they're incredibly needy, very loud little dogs. They're very sweet, but they have some intense separation anxiety, unfortunately. And we got the three cats. There's a cat named Marty who I've had. He's probably like 12 or 13 now. There's a cat named Thor, which I'm just gonna say it is a terrible name for a cat. I didn't name that one. And then I have a third cat that doesn't currently have a name, but I rescued that cat from, I guess my neighbors got like kicked out of their house by the sheriff or some shit, and I just noticed their cat was still outside, so I like fed it once, and then it just was immediately so attached to me, and now it lives in my house, and it's gotten a little fat, and she's very happy. But I kept pet rats for years, you know. I stopped keeping them like a year or two ago, but for many years it was just sort of the rat show for me, and they are some of the kindest, most intelligent animals I've ever met. It's scary how smart they are sometimes. But obviously, the having three cats running around and loud dogs and stuff is not super conducive to keeping too many other like small little critters around.
Absolutely. Yeah. Legendary. All right, thank you so much. All right, we've got three questions remaining, kind of just short, outro-y kind of questions for you all. Oh, actually, the next one's a little bit difficult, but
Okay.
so could you give some advice to people who want to do what you do, or basically any advice to, I don't want to say younger people because I think any age is like, has aspirations to be creative. But I guess people who aren't as far along on their journey as you, any advice or something like that?
Yes. Um, my advice is definitely if you want to make music, if you want to make art, then you should do it. You should do it as soon as possible. It's easier now than ever. It's a great outlet for negative emotions, for dealing with things that are going on at home, like for younger people specifically, like going on at home or mental health issues. If you're dealing with something, you can write those feelings down, and it's a healthy outlet. It was very important for me, and it got me through for a long time, and it still gets me through. I can't imagine like not making art, you know and through that, if you're somebody like me who is a very shy person when I was younger, that's a great way to find a community. It's a great way for people, especially in the U.S. and other places where queer people are very oppressed. It's a great way to find like-minded people in safer spaces where you can express yourself fully and without fear or danger. Um, so I just like anybody who might be listening to this, like later on, if you want to do it, you definitely should, and you can do it, and feel free if you need advice or if you need tips. Not that we're experts on anything. You can always find our socials and message us and ask us questions about how to get started. You should do it. So that's what I have to say.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Dave,
And
Dave,
for
any tips?
yeah,
Yeah.
for me it was like playing music with other people is really what made it click for me. Like I said, I barely played music at all until meeting Sully and learning the keys and stuff and playing Sully songs. So like Sully said, I think it's a good way to meet like-minded people, like if if to try to avoid like I guess what I'm trying to say is that playing music with other people has been the best tool for me to grow as a musician. But at the same time, I don't think you should feel like you have to like settle for and associate with other musicians who are going to make you feel weird or bad or uncomfortable. It's sort of a double-edged sword in that way, where it feels like you do need to play with other people to get better. But at the
Yes.
same time, it's something that I do. I know Sully does as well. Is I'm lucky to be able to be very selective about like who I associate with, who I spend time with, and I think playing music with people that I am good friends with, that I trust and love unconditionally, has done more for me to grow as a musician than anything else has, really. And it's like I produce a lot of music now, and 2 or 3 years ago, I had never, I don't think I'd even tried like producing electronic music. And I just started trying one day, and after a while, it was a lot of learning, but it clicked with me, and now it's something I can like sort of jump into really easily. It's mostly just to say like it's never too late to start working on something new, and that way it's never too late to try to teach yourself a new form of art, you know.
Hell yeah. Real truth. Okay. Fantastic. Okay. Yeah, kind of wrapping up the kind of last two questions. Next one is what's next for Dodomeki? What's on the horizons? Anything soon? Anything to plug or talk about?
Yeah. We are releasing a like more full length second record at some point reasonably soon. It should be in the next. It should be sometime in 2025. I've just been very slow to finish the singing. That's really all. But we're releasing that. We've released 2 singles. I don't know how many songs it is. I think it's like 8 or something. And we'll probably play shows on the East Coast, mostly of the United States in general, for a long time, as long as we can do it. If you want us to play in a basement or a shitty house, then we probably will. So just message us on, find our social media. What can we plug? I don't know. David, do you know how to do any of this?
Spotify.com / dodomeki / dysphoria.
Yeah.
Just type that into Google.
Bandcamp free.
Yeah.
Bandcamp free.
Yeah, we put out Dysphoria, I think a month or 2 ago now. A few months before that, we put out a song called Molting. It is on Bandcamp. It's probably on YouTube as well. Spotify, Tidal, the other ones, Apple Music.
Yeah.
And we're on Instagram. We don't post much, but we're on there. You can find us.
I think that's our only social. So if you want to know what we're doing, you can go on there. But we all hate it and we don't want to use it. But you can go to it if you want.
Nice. All right, and last question, somewhat related to other questions, but do you have any kind of final messages for people, for your fans, for anybody?
Dang, we have fans? What the hell?
I'm sitting right here.
Yeah. Kind of reiterating what we were saying before. If you want to make music, you can do it. You can do it yourself. You can find people that have similar worldviews through music. Don't be scared. You can do it. There's ways to do it for cheap. What else? Free Palestine. The United States government doesn't give a fuck about you on either side. You should do mutual aid. You should stick with your community. You should talk to your neighbor. You should go fucking be outside and touch grass and get off your phone for a little while. You could listen to our music on the internet if you wanted to, but you don't have to. There's a lot of other bands that also make music, and they're also good. And some of the bands that have lots and lots of streams are just as good as the ones with no streams. And your favorite artist might be somebody that is living in the same town as you, and you'd have no idea. And yeah, what do you want to say, Dave?
Yeah, just to echo sort of what you were saying, I think it's very important to try to find those connections with like-minded people and communities you're involved with, especially all the time. It's very important, but especially now, it's, I think, sort of building yourself a network of people you can love and trust and lean on is very, very important. And it's something I wish for everyone, just because being alone in with everything that's going on, all the terrible shit is I know how bad it is. So I just hope people, they keep making music and art and keep finding those connections and stuff,
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, we're gonna cut the interview. So goodbye.
All right. Bye, interview.
Goodbye.
Bye.